3. One second, no, that's for me. Through 19. Are they familiar to you?
Yes.
And that's exhibits 2, 2A, and 3 through 21. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, in regards to, okay, so what, and I'm going to talk about it as a bulk.
Okay.
What do exhibits 2, and I'll include 2A in this, just to be, to shorten it up, 2 through 21 represent to you?
2 through 21. You're talking about the first 3 you handed me, is that correct?
All of them?
All of them.
Yes. What are they?
All of them represent maps of the island of Maui, specifically from approximately Haiku out to Nihiku, and consist of imagery captured between 2012 and 2015, as well as features marked on them that I'm familiar with, and since I produced these maps, I certify they're accurate in terms of their location.
The locations depicted on them?
Correct.
As well as any labels that are on them?
The labels are correct as I see them, yes.
As to each, okay, and I want to ask you specifically about 2.
Okay.
There's a marking, there's a yellow marking on that exhibit.
Correct.
Who placed that?
I did.
Okay. And does it indicate to you, is it indicating a specific area?
Yes.
And can you describe, in regards to landmarks or other physical characteristics around that marking?
The yellow arrow.
Yeah.
It's next to Nua Alua Gulch, without having a scale bar on it. It's hard for me to determine how far it is from the bridge on Hana Highway that crosses Nua Alua Gulch. But based upon the trees, I'd estimate it at about 50 to 100 yards from that location. It's on the southern side of the gulch, and without having been there, that's about the most I can tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. With respect to the distance, the yardage, I would move to strike that portion of the answer to speculation.
With respect to that, before I rule on that, do you want to supplement the foundation concerning what was referred to as an estimate?
Yes.
All right, and then I'll then rule on the motion. Proceed.
Yeah. And when you make that estimate of how many yards?
50 to 100.
Okay. What do you base that estimate on?
The resolution of the imagery, it's 4.5 inches per pixel, thus based upon the detail of the printed page as well as the apparent size of the trees in the image.
And you base your training and experience in mapping and viewing imagery as well as your experience or work experience in analyzing that kind of imagery data to make that estimate of 5,200 yards.
Correct.
Okay.
Court at this time will deny the motion to strike.
As to each of the images, 2 through 21, and we're going to time frame this to approximately February of 2014.
Okay.
Are each of them true and accurate depictions of the areas shown within each of the maps as to February 2014?
Given the location in a very rural part of the island, I would say that the difference in the capture dates for the images, the difference between that and the date that you just cited would be negligible, and that they would be accurate representations.
And you base that testimony about each of the maps created by you as fair and accurate representations of the depictions within each map upon your training and experience?
I do.
Did you also verify, did you also try to get, in terms of like the pictometry type maps, those are 20 and 21, and which actually have dates on them, years
Correct.
on them?
Yeah.
Did you check, have you checked the locations of each marking that you placed on the maps prior to your testimony?
Objection, vague as to how to check it.
Okay.
The objection is sustained.
I'm sorry. Did you verify the locations of the markings that you placed on each one of the maps you created in 2 through 21? And what I'm talking about when I say you placed, I'm talking about the yellow markings on the maps.
Okay.
The same objection as to vague.
The objection is overruled. You may answer the question.
The arrows only exist on 2. There's
Okay.
not on 20 and 21.
What about this yellow markings, like squares or outlines that are on the maps?
All of these maps were created by me. I've checked all of the data for accuracy against numerous sources. They are accurate.
And are they all here, you testified they're all here within the County of Maui, State of Hawaii?
Correct.
Now, I touched on this yesterday with you. These maps, are they available to anyone and something that could be produced for any person, any one of those? If you supplied with the correct information, could you prepare another set of the exhibits before you for any other person in the county or any other person that contacts you?
If I had my software and the resources I have at my job,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state offers into evidence would have been marked as 2, 2A, and 3 through 21.
Mr. Nardi.
Your Honor, I don't have any objection to the maps. They're maps.
To the extent that they reference specific locations that there's been no evidence in this court about, I would object as those indications on the maps are irrelevant at this point.
Your Honor, the state submits 104.2 allows us to tie up the relevance to other testimony, and it does not go to the admissibility of the items offered at this time.
It assumes facts not in evidence. What if that evidence never comes?
All right, the court will do this. The court will receive in evidence states exhibits 2, 2A, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 and 21 marked for identification purposes. The court will note that that will be subject to a subsequent showing of relevance of materiality. And so if that doesn't occur, Mr. Nardi, you can bring that to my attention, and I'll entertain a motion to strike.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Let me approach the witness.
You may do so.
Okay. Can I have those back, please?
Yeah, would you like all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have two and three first. Okay. At this time, the state asks the court's permission to publish the exhibits to the jury.
Permission to publish is granted.
Your Honor, would that include the material that's not in evidence here?
I have received it in evidence subject to the showings that I mentioned, so that yes, the answer is yes.
Can you see the TV?
Yep.
Okay. I'm showing you what has been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 2A. And then,
If you wish to have the witness step down, I have no problem with that. We could provide you with a pointer if you wish.
yes, there is a pointer right there to your left in the corner behind you. Got it?
Yep.
Okay. Referring to State's Exhibit 2A in evidence,
You know, while you're doing that, you may want to put that cup on this flat portion because if that spills onto the
Yeah.
monitor, we might have an issue.
okay, in regards to 2A, and then I'm going to switch to 2. Okay. Will you point out some of what you explain to the jurors what in this picture are some of the physical characteristics that you can see on 2?
Okay.
And this is that close-up of New Iloa.
Yep.
Yeah, the top part. What, Malka section?
Okay.
Do you agree with that? Just to frame your testimony?
Yeah, I do agree. That's Malka of the Bay itself.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you give the jurors a north, south, east, west, because there isn't a compass on this?
You know, I'm wondering if you might be able to stand on this side. Well, let's see. My concern is that one or two of our jurors may not be able to see what you're doing. All right, very good. Thank you so
Okay.
much for doing
Oh, no
that. I
problem.
appreciate that.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Can you give us a north, south, east, west orientation of where
Yeah, I
this map is?
believe north is at the top.
Okay. Will you go over some of the, we'll call them physical features that you see that would stand out to you
Okay.
in this as a mapper?
That's on a highway, obviously. You can see these large trees here. They grow only in wet areas, and you can see the stream that's running through them. It's a further confirmation of that.
Where's Kahului on this map? What direction?
Well, kind of that way.
Okay, and Hana?
It's towards me,
Okay, and the mountain?
down on the table direction.
And the ocean?
We can see the stream heading this way, so it's going to be that direction.
Where's the stream?
It's close to where the yellow arrow is, just up from that, about, on this screen, I would say about a centimeter, but in real life, 5 feet.
Okay. Can you actually see the stream bed as it runs across that photograph?
Yes.
Okay, will you trace that for the jurors? May the record reflect that the witness is tracing a line from the lower left-hand corner of the exhibit up until about 1/3 on towards the top of the right edge of the exhibit along a darkened area on an otherwise green photograph. Is that accurate? Do you agree with that description of what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay. And when I talk about the darkened area, I'm not talking about Hana Highway. You can see that as
Yeah.
another picture.
The bridge crossing the stream is right there.
Okay. And then the record reflects that the witness is indicating the area of the pavement of what is testified as Hana Highway, under which that darkened path crosses.
That's becoming testimony of Ms. Jones. I mean, the jury's more than qualified to see what she's commenting on.
Your
And I
Honor,
understand you're not in a position to see what the witness is pointing to confirm or deny what Ms. Jones is asking.
it's for the record, Your Honor.
I understand, and I will allow that in as much as we need to have that to create a record in terms of what the witness is pointing out. As long as it's new, it's not new information,
No.
that will be acceptable. But at any time, if Mr. Nardi, you're of the view that it's something that goes beyond what was pointed out, please feel free to note an objection. Thank you. You may continue with your examination.
Now, let's go to the white arrow indicating the New Idlewood Bay access road.
Yep.
And I'm gonna, it's just gonna give you a. Just enlarge that area for you. Does that help see it a little bit better?
Quite a bit.
Okay. Do you agree that that's the same entrance that the arrow is indicating?
I do.
Okay. I'm going to refer you now to 2, okay?
Okay.
That's the same area without the arrow?
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about some of those physical characteristics that we talked about besides that stream bed. Is there any, 2A, is there any vegetation that's outstanding to you?
I'm going to just object as to relevance at this point.
He's a mapper, he's describing on the maps what is significant.
The objection is overruled.
You can answer.
In this photograph, this aerial photograph, what stands out to me in terms of the vegetation are again the very light colored trees denoting the edges of the riparian area, as well as these large clumps down here. They have sort of a almost broccoli-like appearance, indicating heavy tree cover,
Okay.
mature foliage,
Okay.
mature forest.
All right, Mr. Gary, I'm just going to circle what you talked about as the the broccoli.
Yep.
Is it in there?
Correct. Yeah.
Is that the broccoli you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. May the record reflect that the witness has indicated a clump of trees, basically to the right of what would be the center of the map. That is a darkened clump of greenery. Yeah. And what's on the screen, 1 second. The state offers as to a okay, I'm gonna just take a screenshot of it. How's that? Okay. So, Okay, Mr. Gearing, when you look at the map, and you enlarge this section, you see what I'm tracing?
Yep.
Is that the clump you're talking about?
That contains the majority of it, yes.
Okay. What about the area to the left of that? You see where I'm highlighting now?
Okay.
Is that the light, is that characteristic of the light tree you're talking about?
Correct. I believe there.
This is the meeting.
The objection is sustained.
Move
Okay.
to strike.
The motion to strike is granted.
What's it show?
That image shows what appears to be a kukui tree.
And how does the color of a kukui tree differ from a different kind of tree?
Much lighter.
Okay. Do you see another one?
There.
And when
I
you
have to
say,
speak because the color's a little crazy.
like there?
Correct.
Okay. So the light colored trees in this are what kind of trees based on your training experience?
I believe they're kukui trees without investigating in person. I can't guarantee it, but that would be my suspicion.
Okay.
I'm gonna
And
move to
based,
strike. Answer speculation.
it's his belief based on his training experience, that's what he's telling the court and the jurors.
Yeah, it may just be the way, the terminology he uses, but in light of the answer, I think you're going to need to place a foundation on the record. So I'm going to sustain the objection and grant the motion to strike.
Okay. Without using your suspicions as to what a tree is, would you give the jurors your best information on what kind of vegetation is in the light colored clumps?
Yeah, and I'm going to object. I have no doubt these maps are
I
accurate.
will sustain the objection.
Okay, this particular, these two I'm talking about, I'm going to outline this for you. That one. And this. Do you see what I've just shown you?
Yes.
Okay. What is that?
Yeah, and I'm going to object. I think we need a botanist. Again, I'm not contesting the accuracy of the maps.
Okay.
Start identifying different foliage and trees.
I understand. We'll need, I'll take that objection as objection on foundation, and I'll sustain the objection, ask that you place the foundation on the record.
Aren't you a biogeographer?
Correct.
Isn't part of that knowing what kind of trees look like what from the top?
Correct.
Okay, so you have some training experience and familiarity, particularly here on Maui, in what a kukui tree looks like versus another kind of tree.
Correct.
Action leading there.
It's foundational.
The objection is overruled.
Do you?
I do.
Okay. Will you describe, will you hold that image in your head of what does a kukui tree look like in an aerial image? And compare that and explain to the jurors how that image that you have, based on your knowledge, training experience as a biogeographer, to the light-colored clumps of foliage I just showed you in that picture.
These images are consistent with the appearance of kukui trees in remotely sensed imagery.
Okay. Does that change over a season?
No. Tropical biology is different than temperate areas in that the trees aren't generally deciduous. They keep their appearance year-round. For the most part, there are exceptions like plumerias.
Your Honor, I'm going to object and move to strike. I don't think of proper foundations.
The objection is overruled. You may proceed.
I'm sorry, if you could have 1 second, Your Honor. I'm just noting that a clerk is speaking with my co-counsel. I'm sorry. Thank you. It was just that his attention was distracted.
All right. You may proceed.
Let me show you what's been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 21. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What's depicted in 21?
21 is an oblique aerial image of the same area as the previous exhibit, with the exception of showing areas out to the coast, Mackay, of the previous image. It contains nearly all of the previous exhibit with additional areas.
Now, on that note, see what I'm highlighting for you?
I do.
What's familiar in this photograph? I'm going to clear my call out for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to object to relevance. I'm not sure what this is going over this.
The objection is overruled.
What do you see in 21 that you saw in 2 and 2A? And does the call out help you with that more than that photograph? So
I can do it from here.
Okay.
The shape of Hana Highway in that bend where it crosses the gulch is significant in terms of the shape of the arc that it makes, as well as the same pattern of vegetation.
Okay, when you talk about the vegetation, are those, which ones? Because there's a lot of vegetation.
Yeah.
in that picture.
The kukui trees in particular, as well as the mature vegetation around the stream bed.
So, can you point out those kukui trees?
There. Looks like one there.
Okay, did the record reflect that the witness has pointed out, was that 4 or 5? Would you like
About 5, yeah.
5?
I got to stand in front because the color
Okay.
is a little crazy. You see, there.
Okay, 5 light-colored, yeah, the record reflect the witness has pointed out approximately 5 light-colored trees.
Yeah.
Depicted within the photograph close to the roadway. Let's move on to 20. What's depicted in 20?
20 is nearly the opposite angle of the previous image. It's facing Malka.
Can you point out, we do the Malcolm Mackay, it's kind of obvious
Yeah.
in this, but let's just go there.
Mackay is down here, Malka is towards the top of the screen.
Okay. And what else is depicted in this that you as a mapper consider significant?
Again, Hana Highway, cutting through the image, making the arc, crossing over Nuailua Stream, and then sneaking around back towards Kahului.
Would you point the Kahului direction?
It's towards me.
Okay. May the record reflect that the witness is indicating the bottom portion of the screen, the bottom, and what would be the left-hand portion of the photo? I guess, well... as it
Towards
look-
me is the lower right hand.
Okay, looking at the exhibit, as the printed exhibit, it would be the lower right-hand corner of what has been admitted as states 20 for the record. Okay. Now, let's go to 4.
Okay.
Okay? Do you see that okay?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to show you also 3.
Okay.
Okay. One moment. Oops, wait, I'm sorry, I need to clear that. I did that in the wrong order. Sorry. Okay, you got 3 and 4 up there? What was that again?
You may proceed.
Yeah. Do you see 3 and 4?
I did.
Okay. And those are the maps that you created?
I did.
Okay, would you just explain briefly what's on 3 and 4 and the differences between the mapping images,
Okay.
imagery used to produce each of them?
Okay. Maps 3 and 4 show an area of the northeast coast of the island of Maui from approximately Haiku to Nahiku. Map 3 is a shaded relief map produced from topographic data collected using radar. Exhibit 4 uses imagery collected by the Worldview 2 satellite in 2015. It's a true color depiction using the red, green, and blue bands of the satellite.
And in the upper right-hand corner of each 3 and 4, what's there?
It's a figure depicting the extent of the island of Maui depicted in each main image.
Sorry, you're using a word, is that extent?
Extent,
Okay.
yeah.
What is an extent or an extent?
So basically, the corners of the main image are the same corners within this figure. They're at the same location relative to each other.
Okay, so what is on the map is contained within the red box.
That's correct.
Okay. And the locations on three and 4, you have located different points. On there, you have 3 data points, we'll call them for now, locations marked on there.
Correct.
Okay. And those are some of the locations you testified previous to are actually really there. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
rephrase it, Judge.
All right, the question is withdrawn.
Okay. So the markings indicate, what do they indicate on your map?
225 Kalipo Place, Nua'alua Bay, and Nahiku Marketplace.
Okay. And is there, what's on the map between those 3 places in terms of a transit way? How do you get-
Hana Highway
Okay. Will you,
connects them generally, although the 225 Kalipo Place I do not believe is on Hana Highway itself. It's close to it though.
Okay, will you show Hana Highway on each of states 3 and 4 for the jurors? And what color is it on 3? The roadway?
Appears to be black,
Okay, and what, 4?
white.
Okay. Okay. Let's move on to five. And 6. Can you see those okay?
I can.
Okay. Will you describe what's depicted in 5 and, well, what's the short description of what kind of map is in 5? The one on, what would, the grayscale?
It's generally called a shaded relief map.
Okay.
The shadows indicate changes in elevation.
That's the grayscale map, we'll call it.
Correct.
Okay.
The darker the shading, the steeper the terrain.
And what about the imagery in
6.
states 6?
That appears to be a Worldview 2 ortho mosaic. It's airplane captured imagery, 4.5 inches per pixel. The date of the imagery is approximately 2012.
And what's depicted in each of these maps?
Both of these maps depict an area along Hana Highway from, again, approximately the village of Kainai, past Waialua, and a few miles further on towards Hana.
And when you say Kainai, what are you referring to?
The village that's a peninsula jutting out of the north coast to Maui.
And do you see that?
I did.
In State's Exhibit number 6. Will you point that out to the jurors, please? The witness has indicated an area marked K&I on the upper portion of the map. Okay, do you see another area which I've enlarged for you that's depicted also on State's Exhibit number 6?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to call that out for you one more time. Sorry. Okay. It's marked 3.2 miles past Kainai and Hana Highway.
Correct.
How did you determine the location of that point?
That point's determined by measuring along our geographic data of Hana Highway that's derived from GPS surveys as well as satellite and aerial imagery. The line work is split at exactly 3.2 miles past the junction to Kainai to derive the location of that point.
Okay. Let's go on to 7 and 8. What's depicted in 7 and 8?
7 and 8 also depict an area of the north coast of the island of Maui from approximately the Haiku area known as Peahi to Nu'ailua Bay, inclusive of Kainai.
And you put some data points on this map.
Correct.
Will you point those out to the jurors? Now, what are you indicating to? When you just put the pointer on the screen, what are you indicating?
I didn't understand your question.
What did you just point to?
Pointed to the orange dots. One's marked Peahi Upper Juts, one's marked Nu'ailua Bay.
Okay. And when you say upper, okay, and that's what's depicted in this map. Will you describe, wait 1 second. I'm sorry. What's on the screen right now?
Yeah, at this point, I'm going to object under 403. I believe these maps have already been admitted as accurate. The jury's, I'm sure, qualified to read maps. This is just cumulative and undue consumption of time at this point.
The court will overrule the objection. Proceed.
Yes. What are we looking at right now, Mr. Herring?
This map shows the area that we looked at in the first figure, figure 2 and 2A. The bend in Hana Highway and the area of vegetation we just discussed previously.
Yes.
It shows a larger area as well, inclusive of K&I.
We would indicate K and I. May the record reflect the witness is pointing to the peninsula on the right hand, towards the right of center on the exhibit. Okay. And we point to New Agua Bay, the part you said we've already seen in other exhibits, to the jurors. May the record reflect the witness is showing the area that is marked New Agua Bay on his mapping. Let's move on to what's been admitted as State's Exhibits 9. Oops, sorry. 9 and 10. See that?
Yep.
Okay. We explain for the jurors what's depicted in 9 and 10.
Exhibits 9 and 10 depict an area along Hana Highway in what's generally termed Huelo, towards Hana from Haiku, the popular place for tourists to stop called Twin Falls is depicted with the orange dot. And Ulalena Loop is called out in a darker line width in both maps. It's a road that begins and ends on Hana Highway, bracketing either side of Twin Falls.
Okay, I'm going to refer now to 10. When you talk about Ulalena Loop,
Yeah.
Your Honor, I'm going to renew my objection. The maps speak for themselves.
The court will overrule the objection.
have you traced Ulalena Loop, what you're referring to when you say Ulalena Loop for the jurors, please? May the record reflect the witness has traced the white outlining of the roadway marked Ulalena Loop from the upper left-hand portion of the exhibit to the lower right-hand. Let's move on to 11 and 12. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
We explain to the jurors what's depicted in State's Exhibits 11 and 12.
11 and 12 show an area inclusive of the last images we discussed and continues on to enclose a larger area which is a portion of Haiku. There's 2 points that I put on this map. One is 225 Kalibo Place and Twin Falls remains as from the last figures.
Now let's move on to 13 and 14. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
You explain for the jurors what's depicted in 13 and 14.
Exhibits 13 and 14.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask for a standing objection. All he's going to do is read the maps. That's not an area that needs expert testimony. It's something that the jury qualified to do themselves. I don't see how having somebody else read maps assists the trier of fact.
The court will overrule the objection.
Will you please explain for the jurors what's depicted and what's been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibits 13 and 14?
Exhibits 13 and 14 display a portion of Haiku Maui. There's approximately 50% of Haiku is shown with 52 Ueno Place, Hanzawa Store, and 225 Kalibo Place called out with orange squares.
Okay, let's move on to 15. and 16. Can you
Yes.
explain for the jurors what's depicted and what's been admitted into evidence that states 15 and 16?
15 and 16 depict a portion of the north coast of Maui from approximately the Kenai Peninsula along Hana Highway, ending towards Wailuku and Kahului. It's tough for me to say where it ends, but Huelo is to the left of where the figure cuts off. There's one dot on Hana Highway at mile marker 9.5 that was determined by using the state-provided mile marker locations and dividing the line work for Hana Highway exactly in half at that point.
Okay. Is this what you're talking about?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, let's move on to 17. What's depicted in states 17?
State 17 depicts an area along Hana Highway from mile marker 9.5 to the Kenai Peninsula. It's inclusive of Nua'ailua Bay. The square depicted along Hana Highway.
When you say the square depicted along Hana Highway, will you point that out to the jurors?
I am.
Okay. Wait, that's the square?
That's the square I was pointing to.
Okay.
That box is the same area as the map exhibit 2 and 2A.
Let's move on to 18. What's depicted in, what's been admitted into evidence as states 18?
Exhibit 18 depicts an area along the north coast of Maui from approximately Haiku at Peahi, along Hana Highway, inclusive of Nua'ailua Bay, Kenai, Nihiku Marketplace, and continuing on, ending just east of the Hana Airport.
Okay. One more. I'm showing you what's been admitted into evidence as states 19. We explain to the jurors what's depicted on that.
Sure. States 19 is the north coast of the island of Maui from approximately Sprecklesville to just outside Hana. I can't read the labels on this screen,
Oh, okay.
but
Let's, let's,
I can,
1 second.
I'm pretty sure what they say if you need to look at it.
Okay.
What's been highlighted is an area in Paia with 2 dots called out for addresses along Baldwin Avenue, 49 and 25. I believe they refer to Bank of Hawaii and Mana Foods.
Okay, now let's do,
The area that's been zoomed in is the general area referred to as JAWS.
what else is on the map?
The zoom-in depicts 4 different locations within the Haiku region area. 52 Aono Place, 225 Kalipo Place, 1833 Kapakalua Road, and 1754 West Kuiaha Road.
What else is on the map?
Similar to, well, again, some of the other exhibits we've looked at, this zoom in depicts the area around Twin Falls.
Any other points on the map?
Again, these are areas that we discussed before, bracketing K and I
Okay.
Peninsula along Hana Highway on the northeast coast of Maui. I don't know how much detail you want me to.
What are they? What are the map points you put on?
3.2 miles east of the road to go down to the Kenai Peninsula. The location for Ailua Bay. And the point that's midway between the 9 and 10 mile markers on Hana Highway. The point's at 9.5.
And the last point that you have marked on the map is what?
It's the location that's known as Nihiku Marketplace along Hana Highway near the village of Nihiku.
Okay. There's one more address we didn't talk about. What's the last point on the map there?
10 Aikawale Road.
Yeah, where is that?
It appears to be between Pukalani and Makawao. Along, you'd have to zoom back in for me.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't
Okay.
produce this
Let me,
map.
let me give you a bigger,
Okay.
is that better for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Haleakala Highway cutting between these two. This is Pukalani, this is Makawao. The point appears to be on the Makawao side of Haleakala Highway.
All that you testified to occur here in the county of Maui, state of Hawaii.
I'm sorry, what?
Did everything that you testified to yesterday and today occur here on Maui?
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any other questions for the witness at this time.
We will take a recess at this time. Thank you.
Thanks.